Sometimes the only thing standing in your way is you. Not your circumstances, not your background, and not even other people. It's the patterns you have learned, the habits you have formed, and the ways that you have learned to protect yourself. And the hardest part about that truth is that you don't even realize that you are doing it. Well, hello my besties, welcome back to the channel. If you're still new around here, my name is Piwe and I am your best friend cheering you on as you build your own dream life and your own dream business. And if you would like to be a part of this community, then please do subscribe. But for now, let's get into why do we self-sabotage so much and how can we stop that so that we can build ourselves a new life, a life that will be fulfilled with and a life that we want for ourselves. First, I want us to get into what exactly is self-sabotaging. When people hear self-sabotage, they think failure. They think lack of motivation. And they think lack of consistency. But that is not what it is, because self-sabotage is self-protection. It is your mind trying to keep you safe based on what it has experienced before. At some point in our lives, we went through things that made us feel unsafe, made us feel rejected, made us feel like we are not good enough and that we are out of control. And instead of processing it, we adapted. So I want us to be aware of how self-sabotage shows up in our lives. Self-sabotage doesn't always look obvious. It never does. Until you are aware that you have certain behaviors that reflect it. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. Sometimes it looks like overthinking. And also sometimes it looks like starting but not finishing. Or simply just constantly going back to the things that you said you were going to leave behind. You tell yourself that you will start tomorrow. You tell yourself that no, I'm not ready yet. And you tell yourself that you just need more time. But deep down, it's not about time, but it's about the fear that you are projecting onto time. As entrepreneurs, we do this a lot, even after starting that business. When it is time to grow, when it is time to scale, we always tell ourselves that no, maybe it's not the right time yet. Maybe I still need to do this and do that before I can scale my business, before I can get my business into another level. We start projecting our fears on other things so that we can have more delays and more time that we think we need, but we don't even need. When it is time to take that action, we always have something that needs our attention. So next, I want us to look at the fear behind self-sabotaging. Because growth will always require you to step into the unknown. And your mind doesn't like the unknown. Instead, it would rather keep you in something familiar, within your comfort zone. Even if it's not comfortable anymore. Even if it is limiting you, and even if it is hurting you. Because familiar feels safe, which is why you can want more for your life and still find yourself doing the same things. Now let's get into why is it that you keep going back to self-sabotaging. A lot of the times you are not going back because you want to, but you keep going back because your nervous system is trying to regulate itself. Okay, let me explain it simply like this. When something starts to feel overwhelming, you go back to what feels natural, what feels normal, and what feels like it is comfortable to you. Which is why you can leave a situation behind, but still recreate it somewhere else. With different people, different environments. It is like how they say you can date one person in different bodies. It is the same thing with the situations. If you still hold the same patterns, then you will still attract the same kinds of situations and same kinds of circumstances. That is until you work on your patterns and you work on your nervous system, because your nervous system determines what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in your own life. Because you decide what you can take and cannot take. You also decide what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Then now let's get into the cycle of self-sabotaging. And it looks like this. You decide that you want to change. You feel motivated to change. Then you start doing things differently. And then something triggers you along the way. you feel the discomfort, you feel the doubts, you feel the fear. And instead of sitting with all of these feelings, you go back. And then after comes the guilt. You start asking yourself, why am I like this? Why am I never consistent? But that is the worst mistake that you can make, because guilt is what feeds the cycle of self-sabotage. Which is why I need you to hear this truth. You are not broken, you are patterned, and patterns can be changed. And so, how to stop self-sabotaging once and for all? The first step is not discipline, but it is awareness. Even during the times when you are still so deep in self-sabotage, because we all have our own levels of self-sabotaging. And even if you are not going to stop immediately, but I want you to be aware of your actions. Which is why I want you to start noticing your own patterns. Pay attention to when you pull back. Pay attention to when you procrastinate. Pay attention to the things that you keep on avoiding. And instead ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Because there is always a feeling behind the action. Then I need you to stop judging yourself. Be kinder to yourself. Give yourself some grace, because self-sabotage actually thrives in shame. The more that you judge yourself is the more that you reinforce the behavior. Instead, get curious. Ask yourself, why am I acting this way? Why am I doing this? What is it that it is protecting me from? Then learn to sit with discomfort. Well, I know this one is the hardest part, because the habit itself is not a problem, but it is the feeling beneath it that is the problem. So instead of trying to escape it, sit with it, even if it is messy, even if it is uncomfortable. And that is where the change begins. And another thing is this: don't try to become a new person overnight. Change doesn't come from pressure, but it comes from consistency. It is the small actions repeated daily, and that is how you build your new identity. You have to change how you see yourself. If you still see yourself as someone who procrastinates, someone who lacks discipline, and someone who always goes back, then you will keep proving that to yourself. You need to start seeing yourself differently before your life even reflects it. So how can you rebuild yourself? Stopping self-sabotage is not about removing anything, but it is about replacing it. Replacing old reactions with new responses, replacing avoidance with awareness, and replacing fear with action. And it won't be perfect. There will be days when you will fall back and moments where you will slip up. But that doesn't mean you have failed. It means you are in the process. At the end of the day, self-sabotage is not your enemy, but it is a signal. A signal that there's something within you that still needs your attention, your understanding, and your healing. You don't need to fight yourself, but you do need to understand yourself. Because the moment you do that, you stop working against yourself and you start working with yourself. So with that being said, my lovelies, this is the end of this video. I hope to see you on the next one, and I hope this video helped you understand self-sabotage better. So bye from me.